Ko Grand Teton te mona. Ko Marathon te moana. No Alabama aho. K Michigan taku kaina. Ko Brad taku inoa. Te na koto katoa. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. I am so thrilled to be here today, and I'll tell you, that message is more meaningful to me than what I'm about to share to you, because it shows the deepness of the culture here. And if you've watched my social media that I've been here for the last 2 days, I've just been deeply touched and ingrained in the culture. And I understand when people come to New Zealand, why their heart stays here when they leave. So I'm thrilled and honored to be here. So thank you again. All right. Thank you. All right. So my name is Brad Waid. I'm from Michigan, as you heard, from the United States. Classroom teacher for 15 years. And you're going to hear my story today. And what we're going to talk about is engaging the globally connected student. Now, I was teaching 8-year-olds for the most part of my career. And something extraordinary happened one day. I was at a conference about 6 years ago. And I was in a session, a big session. And the person presenting was doing 60 great things in 60 minutes. And they spent 1 minute on everything they were showing. Well, they showed one particular thing during their session, and it was a room of about 500 people. And she showed it, and I saw it. It was augmented reality, and it was amazing. When she moved on, I stood up and said, wait, what? Isn't there more? And I was surprised. My brain fell out of my head, and I was so excited. There wasn't even a term for it at the time. So I went and I found out what the term was. It was called augmented reality. And I went back to my classroom and I tried augmented reality in education, and there was nothing. I said, wow, I need to know about this. So I went outside of education. I went into industry and found out what this technology was all about. I found it in medical. I found it in space. I found it in architecture. So I did something that I'd never done before. I brought something in from my classroom that was not even used in education. And I saw something that day that I had never seen before. I saw how it captured my students and engaged them at a level that I had never seen before. So I felt it was my responsibility and my duty to leverage that technology for learning outcomes. And that's where my story begins with you today. So thank you for coming. This is my contact information. If you're on any of the social media platforms, please connect with me on any of these right here. A lot of the stuff I'm going to talk about is on my site, so you can go there and visit bradwaid.com as well. Now, let's do a poll here. Let's start looking at the social medias. I'm going to do them out of order. How many on Snapchat? Raise your hand. Wow, that's a lot more than I expected. That's awesome. Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. Yeah, right on. Okay, YouTube. Anybody make YouTube videos? Okay, any YouTubers out there? Yes, we got some that identify with YouTubers. I love it. All right, how many on Twitter? Okay, let's break social media today. Let's do it. So use the hashtags today. Not only YouLearn17, but Connected Educator, not at YouLearn. There's a lot of people out there. Now, what I would encourage you to do, if there is anything that you want to share on social media, share it. Absolutely. If you need to stand up and take a vlog, do a video, do it. If something resonates with you, share it to the world. I say this because I was at a conference not that long ago. I was sitting just down there, and the presenter was up on stage. And a lady had her phone. She got it out. And she went and she posted a picture. And the presenter said, "You're annoying everybody. Please stop." Funny thing is, I had my phone out at the time. I was like, I was going to share something, but I put it away because I didn't want to get yelled at. So I say that because I want to encourage you to share anything that you like on social media. If it resonates with you, share it to the world. Now, let's take a look at this. One of the wonderful things about being an educator is you get to come to places like this. You get to use your time to learn and get engaged. This is your brain this morning. This is your brain tonight. After you go home, you may feel a little bit more like this. There we go. Oh no, it is a little sensitive, Eric. All right. Okay, we'll see if we can do the best we can. Okay. All right. So sometimes you might feel like this. being an educator, it's a tough job. It really is. If it was an easy job, everybody would be doing it. Now, here are some guiding questions that are going to take us through today. What are kids learning? Where are they learning? What is our role as educators? What are they sharing? And would they share what we are teaching? You know, with the power of social media today, think about the power that students have as well. Now, I ask you this, would they share what we're teaching? I can certainly think about me in my own classroom. I can't imagine an 8-year-old going, man, that math lesson Mr. Waid did on 3.14 on long division was so great, I'm going to share it on my network. I don't see that happening. But there are some fascinating things that are going on social media with schools right now. Okay? So now what is our role as educators? Now, times have changed. The role of the teacher has changed. And I ask us this, have we? Now, this is the 21st century teacher, the educator. There's a lot of great things on here, and you're going to even see like a little video that talks about our role today. Now, the thing is, the 21st century teacher needs to connect with the 21st century learner, and that's what a lot of this is going to be about today, were those guiding questions, not only about the confines and the constructs of learning in our classroom, inside those four walls of the day, but what happens with students when they leave our buildings for the day, and what is our responsibility from that point on. So we're going to take a look at this. Now, here's the two questions we're going to take a look at right now. What are they sharing, and would they share what we are teaching? I want to share a story with you. I was at a 9th grade campus in Florida, and I was doing professional development. I was working with this school for 2 days, and these were pictures that I took in the first day. The first day I was spending with staff. The second day I was with students. That's very typical of what I do. I'll go work with staff for a day, and then I'll spend a day with students. Well, I took these pictures that first day, not knowing how incredible it was going to be to have these pictures. So I was teaching them how to use this program on the computer, and they were going to go back to their classrooms and start using it with their kids to engage. And you see the gentleman on the chair over here in the blue shirt. He's standing up on a chair, and he's taking a picture of this big map. He was an AP history teacher, and he was doing the travels of Odysseus. The travels of Odysseus, and he had made this map. What I was teaching them how to do were augment, put digital information on context, different things in the classroom. He was doing it on this map. Well, I taught all day, worked with staff. Second day, I'm going in with students, and I go from classroom, I'll work in a classroom for a little bit, and my point teacher, my teacher that was working with me, brought me into another classroom. This was late in the morning, and I walk into this classroom. I don't know which classroom I'm going in, but I walk into this classroom, and this student looks at me. This boy stands up and looks at me and goes, "You're that guy." I'm like, "Me? I don't know if I want to be that guy." He goes, "You're that guy that taught my teacher how to do this. Look, I took a picture of it, and I posted it on social media." I'm like, "What? You have to show me." This was the student. We took this picture. We staged this picture later. But the student on the left standing up, he's the one. I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Yeah, my teacher did this great thing yesterday. I took a picture of his lesson and I tweeted it." 15-year-old boy tweeted something about school. I guarantee you this was his first positive tweet about school. Think about that. So I said, "You've got to show me a picture." This is the picture of his phone right there. If you notice, it's the map that teacher was taking a picture of. He went back to his classroom and worked on it that night and shared it with his students that day. 15-year-old boy might be one of the hardest students to engage. And think about this. This student not only was engaged, but was so excited, wanted to share it with people in his network, other 15-year-olds. He really took a risk tweeting about education and school. So there's a lot of power there. Now, I ask you about this question. There's a question up here. And it says, are we preparing them for their future or our future? And let me share this with you. I was in year 10 teaching my 10th year of school, and it was summer, right before school started. I was standing at my desk, and I was looking at my classroom. Bulletin boards were up, desk were ready, name tags, everything was ready. And I was thinking about the students that were about to come in, these 8-year-olds. And I was my 10th year of teaching. I was literally standing right by my desk, and I thought, wow, these students are very different than the students that came in 10 years ago. The students that were coming in didn't know a world without tablets, didn't know a world without Wi-Fi, and so on and so on. Whereas the students came in 10 years prior didn't have tablets when they came in, devices, Wi-Fi. What I realized, I had an epiphany that day. I realized that my students had changed, but my mindset had not. I was still very good with the curriculum and my lesson plans and very engaging and redid everything every year. But what I didn't understand was that the world had changed and my students had changed. The world I was getting my students ready for was the world I had created in my head when I came out of school. That hadn't changed. And I realized I needed to understand what was going on in all the other industries outside of education, because we know the world is changing so fast right now. Technology is growing at such a rapid rate. Our devices, what are they going to be in 5 years? We don't know. What tools are our students going to have to be using and managing to solve problems that they haven't even encountered yet? How do we prepare them for that? So I realized I needed to do something different. Here's an amazing statistic. An estimated 65% of students entering school today will be doing jobs that don't currently exist, from the World Economic Forum. Think about that. If you line up the youngest kids in your building, 65% of them will be doing jobs that don't currently exist. And if you think that's kind of hard to think about 5 years ago, drones were only around being used by the military. How many are familiar with drones, what drones are, right? There is a drone racing league. There are professionals racing drones. Drones are used on all the TV shows that we watch to get all kinds of footage. Social media managers, they weren't around years and years ago. So now we have to change our mindset and start thinking. There are students that we're getting ready to be lawyers, doctors, go in the service industry, and so on. But there's also, what about those students that we don't know the job they're going to be doing? What skills do we help them prepare for? The soft skills, the problem-solving skills, and so on. All right, here's an interesting little video on some statistics about the world we're entering. So take a look at this. Now let's apply this to our classroom and our kids. Now the thing is you never know what's going to change a student's life, but that's why we are in this job, in this education system, is to make a difference with kids. And you never know what it's going to be. Think about, how many of you ever had a student come back and visit your classroom? Right? We've all had that. Now the thing is most of the time we don't directly know the impact that we have on our students. Maybe a student will write you a letter. Maybe a student will come back to your classroom. Maybe they'll invite you to their wedding. But for the most part, we don't exactly know directly the impact that we're having. We put faith in the system, faith in ourselves. But every now and then, you get to see something really special. And I want to share that with you. This is an app called CargoBot. It's a pre-coding and programming app that I was using in my class. I had 5 iPads. Back when this happened, that was incredible. There were only 15 in my entire district, and I had 5. So I was going to figure out how to use my iPads. So I got my iPads in my class, and I got 5 different groups of students, and I had 5 different applications that they were going to use. One of them was CargoBot. So I had a rollout. All the kids were going to practice all these apps, and at the end, they were going to share and present these. Well, CargoBot is an app that was one of them that I was using, and this is it, and I'll talk through it while it's up on the screen. It's like you're programming this crane to move these cargo boxes, and you're dragging and dropping these registers, these arrows, so you're programming the robot to move the boxes. And it's very good. It's a great app, and it gets very difficult very fast. Now, this is Justin. I want you to meet Justin. Now, Justin is a selected mute. Justin does not talk. Justin was in my class. This was his 3rd year, going into his 4th year of school, and he does not talk, selected mute. He gets services, reading recovery services and whatnot. I was told before school that he was going to be in my classroom. I had his older sister years and years before, so he wanted to be in my classroom because he felt like he had a connection with me. So the story is, Justin came into my classroom, and the first full day of school comes in, and we have lunch count. Now, I don't know how lunch count's going to work, because lunch count is where we ask the kids, what are you having for lunch? And when we ask the kids, we say, okay, here are your lunch choices. What are you choosing for lunch today? And the student responds. So the very first day of school, I'm going through my lunch count. I'm like, okay, our lunch choices here are pizza, hot dog, salad. I go through the names, the kids tell me, I check it off, and when I'm done, I send it to the office. Well, I get to Justin. I go, Susie, Tommy, Kathy. And I get to Justin. I go, Justin, what do you want for lunch? What's your choice? Justin gets up out of his seat. He walks around the desk. He comes up to my desk, and he points. I said, okay, we'll figure it out. Now, that night, we have intake conferences where we meet with parents. And I'm meeting with Justin's parents, and this is where I listen and we set goals for the year. Well, I'm sitting with Justin's parents, and after everything, I said, what would a goal be for this year for Justin? Justin's mom looks at me and says, my goal for him would be if he said something across the room in front of his peers. That would be our goal. Nothing about academics. I said, okay. So I just noted it. I said, okay, that sounds great. And so we went our ways. Now the thing is that was September, and now it's October, and I'm doing the iPads. And Justin doesn't talk in the class. We're figuring out how we communicate. Now the thing is it's the last day to go over all the apps, and it's snack time in my class. So during snack time, the kids get to eat a little snack, and then I wrap them up and we transition on. So snack time was wrapping up, and I said, hey guys, today's the day. We're done with all our apps. It's time for presentations. And I said, I'd like to hear from everybody. That was the language I used in my class. I was never going to single Justin out, but I always wanted him to know I would encourage him to speak if he was ever ready. So I said, all right guys, it's presentation day. I'd like to hear from everybody. They're cleaning up snack. I'm walking to the back of my classroom, and I feel a little tug on my sleeve. I look down, it's Justin. I look down at Justin, he looks up at me and goes, can my group go first? What? Inside, I'm like, what just happened? But I was calm and collected. And I go, yep, you can go first. I go to the back of the classroom. I didn't want Justin to see me like so excited. So I go, yeah, you can go first. I'm going to the back of the classrooms. I didn't want him to see me. So I'm like, all right. I go, all right, guys, Justin's group goes first. I'm like, what is going on? So anyway, so Justin goes up with his group of kids. Justin grabs the microphone and he says, my app is CargoBot, and he speaks for 10, 15 seconds, but he said something. It was amazing. So I'm like, all right. Now, think about this. I had a decision to make. Do I go call mom and dad or not? I didn't. I said, if he goes home and tells his parents, fine. I said, if he doesn't, that's fine too. Here's what I didn't want to happen. I have a background in psychology. What I didn't want to happen was me to call Justin's parents, him to get home, his parents greet him at the door. Justin, you talked today, yay! He's like, Mr. Waid sold me out. That's the last thing I wanted was him to stop. So anyway, so we move on, and all of a sudden, the next day turns into the next week, to 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I'm doing a math lesson one day, and I have a math problem on the board. And I'm like, all right, who thinks they know the answer? Justin's hand goes up. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if he knows the answer. What am I going to do? So I'm like, I don't see him real quick. I'm like, all right, this is going to work. I'm going to make this work. So, all right, Susie, I'm like, okay. All right, another one. I put up a math problem that I was pretty sure Justin knew if he was going to take a chance. If he was going to take a chance on me again, I was going to take a chance on him. So I'm like, all right, anybody think they know the answer? Hands go up. Justin's hand goes up. I'm like, Justin. He's like, 9. I'm like, yes, right on, Justin. Now, typically, my lesson would have been done by then. But I'm like, if Justin's talking, we're going to work on this. I'm like, 7 plus 3. I'm like, Susie, so-and-so. I'm great. Like 9, 3, 7. Justin, Tommy, Justin, Jenny, Justin. Kids must be going, what is going on? I'm like, if Justin's going to talk, his hand's up. Every other one, Justin, Justin, Justin. Like, if he's going to take a chance, I'm going to pull him out. Now, the thing is Justin started talking and just started sharing. It was amazing. I'll never forget the first day I told him to be quiet. Yeah, let that sit in a second. Because out of the words of my mouth before I thought about it. But actually, it was a blessing. It was snack time. A lot happens in snack time, apparently. I'm in my class, and I hear some knuckleheads way over on the other side of the room in the reading department, the reading area. And all of a sudden, I look up, and before I thought about it, I go, Justin, quiet down. You're the farthest person away from me. You're the loudest person in here. Be quiet. I was like, oh, what did I just do? But he got quiet. Now, the thing is what I love is I had made a decision to treat Justin like any other student because he was. We'll figure out the communication piece. That didn't give him a disadvantage. So he spoke. Now, the thing is at conferences, parent-teacher conferences were coming up. And Justin's parents signed up for the last spot. So those are the parents that know, oh, Mr. Waid likes me, we'll hang out. I don't have to stick to that 15-minute slot. But it was fine. I knew them and I was happy to do that. So it's Wednesday morning, and I'm meeting with Justin's parents Wednesday night. I had an idea. Snack time, of course. So snack time, I go, Justin. I said, hey, I'm meeting your parents tonight. Do you want to tell them a little bit about CargoBot? He goes, yeah. So I'm like, all right, I remember what Mom said. Let's think about what Mom said. Mom said her goal for Justin would be if he said something across the room in front of his peers. Exactly, something in perfect opportunity. All right, snack time, kind of chaotic. I'm going to make a video. Usually in a teacher's classroom, when you're making a video, it's like, all right, everybody be quiet. Quiet on the set, we're going to do this. But I was like, okay, so it's snack time. I didn't even tell the other kids. I got an iPad out. I gave it to Justin. I got my iPad out. I'm like, Justin, let's just make a video for Mom and Dad. Say something like, hey, Mom and Dad, I know you're meeting with Mr. Waid. I just want to tell you about CargoBot. So I start filming. Girl walks through. That's fine. Just keep going. Justin's talking. I'm like, this is wonderful. So fast forward to that evening. And you have to understand that I'm sitting there with Justin's parents. And what they have heard year after year after year is your child's struggling. Your child has communication difficulties. Here's his math scores. Here's his spelling scores. Here's his reading scores. And he's always considered a struggling or low-level student. They've heard it year after year after year. So I did the best I could. I went through all of the reports and all the marks. And at the end, I said, I want to show you something we're doing in our class. So I want you to watch this video. Screen's blacked out. All of a sudden, it comes up and she pushes play. There comes Justin. And Justin says, hi, Mom and Dad. I know you're meeting with Mr. Waid. I just want to tell you about CargoBot. Justin goes on for 90 seconds telling his parents about CargoBot. You would not believe how it was sitting there and watching. I look over as Mom and Dad are watching this video. Mom has tears just rolling out of her eyes, and Dad is just sitting there in disbelief. So the video ends, and I grab the iPad and slide it back over. And I look at Mom, and she looks at me, and I said, what now? She goes, let's talk academics. Think about that. For the first time in over 3 years, they were able to start talking academics with their child. Now, this was a picture 2 years later. This was Justin and I when he went up to the middle school at 5th grade. I was there for the ice cream social, and I saw him. And the happy report is Justin completely has just been transformed. In some words of other people, they said he was liberated. That opportunity that he got. And this is an interesting phrase. A friend of mine coined this. They said, for Justin, the device spoke his language. And I want you to think about that. Now, the thing is we don't always get to have an opportunity like we saw with Justin in our classrooms, but we put faith in the system that we are making that kind of a difference. So the thing is it doesn't matter what the tool is. You can say, well, this is the best tool, or this is the best. Really, they work. But the thing is the most important thing is the relationship you have with that child. Because as much as technology gets advanced, nothing will replace a teacher that understands the tool and has a relationship with the student. The relationship with the student is more important than the tool. Tools will always change. They've been changing. It's funny, I've looked at a bunch of different archive articles about tools changing. When the chalkboard came out, they said it would never replace the slate and the big chalkboard. They thought that was a waste. Why would we have something like that? Chalkboard gave away to the dry erase board, the overhead projectors, to the digital smart boards. We don't know what the technology is going to be, but something that will never change is the relationship we have with our students. That is the most meaningful thing. Now, take a look at this. We talked about social media a little bit already, and we're going to take a quick look at this. There's some interesting statistics I want you to take a look at. So take a look at this. When you see something that surprises you? Just make a mental note of it, because we're probably going to address it real quick. All right, well, how many of you saw something that surprised you? Just a raise of hands. All right, if someone could yell out just one thing that surprised you, what was it?
Naming the baby.
Naming the baby, Facebook and Twitter, right? That's pretty powerful. What else?
50% under 30.
50% of the world's population is under 30 years of age. Think about that. That doesn't seem like it would make sense statistically with the death rate. Okay, it seems like it would be higher than that, but it's not, because our population is growing at such a fast rate. What else? Yes, so Lady Gaga, Justin Bieber, and Katy Perry have more Twitter followers in like Canada, Argentina, New Zealand as well. Okay, anybody see the one about the earthquake? Yes, it's amazing. Now think about the days of reporting news has really changed. I remember when USA Today became the nation's newspaper. I was living in Phoenix, Arizona. I was like, what is this? My dad's like, that's a newspaper for the United States, son. Like, wow, that's fascinating. Then 15 years later, a channel called CNN, 24-hour news. Wow, that's fascinating. We still have newspapers, but the thing is, if something newsworthy happens in this room right now, you are reporting it. You could call a news station, a journalist, a reporter. They could come in and they could interview me or something, but that's hours or days down the road. There was a time when we waited for a newspaper to show up at our house the next day to learn about what happened yesterday. That seems so foreign now, because we are now getting news and information right now. Now, so the thing is let's take a look at this. Now, in the United States, these are amazing giant stores that everybody loves, Target and Starbucks. So we are a physical goods generation. I want you to think about this, a physical goods generation. Now, the question is, are our students? Did anybody see in that video where it said, kids will buy $6 billion worth of virtual goods, but moviegoers will buy $2.5 billion of physical goods? Now, the thing is let's put a New Zealand spin on this. How many are familiar with these stores? Westfield Mall and the Warehouse, right? Raise of hands, come on, you know this, thank you. Now, think about this. If you're going into one of these stores, let's just use the Warehouse, you're going into the Warehouse. Now, what I love about getting a gift card is my kids will ask me, my own children will say, Dad, your birthday's coming up. What kind of gift cards you like? I'm like, Target, something like that. The Warehouse. Why? Because I get a gift card. I get to go into this store. I park the car. I get out of the car. I can go into the store. I can look at every shelf. I can go pick anything I want off the shelf that I want. I can go up to the cash register. I can give them this card, and I don't have to pay for it. And what I love about it is I physically have something. So I'm asking my oldest son, I say, your birthday's coming up. I said, what kind of gift card do you want? He goes, oh, a League of Legends card. I'm like, huh? I go, what do you do with the League of Legends card? He goes, oh, I get a skin. I'm like, is that pajamas in a box or something? I don't know what that means. How many of you have ever heard of League of Legends? Wow, big crowd. That's impressive. Largest crowd in the world I've seen that is familiar with it. And so I will still share this for those of you who don't know. So League of Legends is this right here. Now, this picture is not Photoshopped. This is the next picture that I'm going to show you is the World Championships in Asia. Yes, over 50,000 people paid money to actually go in and watch 5 kids battle 5 kids on computers and play a video game. Now, the amazing thing about League of Legends, it's a bird's eye view game, and it lends itself to being watched. It is so popular, they have shoutcasters, 2 people who call the game play by play. I asked my son, I said, what'd you do for breakfast? He goes, oh, I watched League of Legends. I'm like, you mean you played? He's like, no, I watched it. Now, the thing is League of Legends is a free game. Haha, yeah, it's a free game. Remember the gift card my son wanted? Now, League of Legends made $1.6 billion last year, and they gave out over $43 million in tournament fees. Now, I bring that up because how many are familiar with this little game? Minecraft, right? Just a little game, but we know it's actually a big game, and all the kids play it. Now, the thing is, we're going to compare the two. Now, I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison of Minecraft and League of Legends. Now, Minecraft, if we're looking at 100% of players on computers, Minecraft has about 2% of the world's players. That must be a pretty big amount. Raise your hand if we can agree that 2% represents a lot of kids, because we know how big Minecraft is. Well, I'm going to show you the same thing for League of Legends. Now, just for argument's sakes, if it's a 4 or higher, we're looking at double. So this must be an amazingly captivating game that so many kids play. Let's see just how many kids are playing this game. 23%, over 10 times what Minecraft is. So if we know the impact Minecraft has had on our students, this has 10 times more kids playing. The reason I bring that up is because we are mostly not familiar with League of Legends, and yet it's something that has such a big influence on our kids. This is the complete graph, and you can see how League of Legends is just the tops of everything. Now, I'm going to show you a couple. How many of you are familiar with Pokemon Go? Right? Started right down here. The first servers were in Australia and New Zealand. Now, we've seen these images all over. Now, the thing is Pokemon Go, love it or hate it, one of the best things it did, and we need to recognize this, it took the power of screen time, something that we have been struggling with for a long time. Screen time, oh, my kids sit on the couch, or they sit right in front of the computer, they don't get off the couch, they don't move around. Pokemon Go was the first time that a game leveraged the engagement of a screen and got them up and moving around. Got kids up and moving around the computer. I remember being in Alabama visiting my parents, and my son wants to go to the park. I'm like, huh. But here's what happened the very first time I heard about Pokemon Go. I'm sitting in my house, and I have my 16-year-old son and my 10-year-old daughter in the other room. And I'm sitting in the other room, and I hear this. Get this. I hear my son, my 16-year-old boy, say to his little sister, "Hey, Brenna, you want to go for a walk?" What? I didn't know this game existed or anything. I go in the other room, I'm like, "Hey, what's going on? What, you guys can go for a walk?" Everyone goes, "Yeah, what are you going to do?" He goes, "We're going to play Pokemon." I'm like, "Okay. Is there a dragon outside or something?" I don't know what that means. He's like, "No, this is a new game. I just downloaded it from Australia. It's a day early." I'm like, oh. So him and his sister went out and walked around because Pokemon, you have to go to gyms and capture Pokemon. And there's Pokemon that spawn all over the world, and you know about Pokemon Go. But the thing is it got our kids off the couch. It got them outside because the more they walk, the more they can develop their Pokemon. Also, what I love about the game creators, Niantic, who did this, they put Pokestops and gyms on really great places. Memorials, monuments, city parks, libraries, the places we want our kids to go. My son goes, "I want to go see the Springville Monument." I'm like, "I don't even know where that is." We went down there, and the great thing is he captured his Pokemon, but he actually stood there and read the monument for the city, which was wonderful. So we finally see that we can leverage the technology for some really good outcomes. And the last one I'll say about this is, if you want to see what it did for special education, look at it for kids who have autism. If you look online, you do a research, Pokemon Go and kids with autism, you will be in tears the first article you read, because they're all written by parents, and they are seeing their children, who usually have social struggles in public, being engaged and accepted in these communities. It's absolutely amazing. Now, how many of you are fans of YouTube? Right? Anybody recognize any of these YouTubers up here? So for those of you who don't know, a YouTuber, I say they're the new silver screen. They're the new screen actors and actresses. They are the influencers of today. And some of you, if you have your own children, you know this. Kids will watch YouTubers. My own kids will watch YouTubers over, well, they don't even call it cable. They think if you have cable television, you're old. Like, I have cable. I think it's great. 600 channels. I can only watch one, but I love it, you know. So the thing is they watch YouTube, and these are the YouTubers, and they have such a big influence on our kids. Now, let's get to this last section and see what we can do. Now, knowing all of this information, How do we make the impact today? What do we go back and what do we do? How can we make a difference with kids today? And there's a great acronym that we can take a look at. The first thing, and you've already heard me talk about it, are relationships with our kids. And you know how important relationships are. You know, the culture here is so powerful. It's really built on relationships, more so than other countries in the world that I've even seen firsthand. Now, here's a reality here. In a world with millions of wearables, billions of servers, trillions of sensors, the most important thing is how we treat people. And this is so true. Now, that's the R in this. So that's for relationships. The second one is understanding. Now, the world is shrinking at such a rapid rate. And we have the ability to reach out and be talking with people all over the world instantly. That's what our kids are doing when they leave. Now, I want to show you something. Coca-Cola did a wonderful social experiment. They wanted to use the power of technology and the power of goodwill, see if they could influence and impact two countries that do not get to communicate with each other. India and Pakistan, neighboring countries, but about 60 years ago, they got divided. They're not allowed to really communicate, but yet they're the similar people living right next to each other. Now, Coca-Cola said, we're going to do a social experiment. We're going to see if we can put something in India and something in Pakistan and see if we can use this engaging technology to bring people closer together. Let's watch how this unfolds.
The relationship between India and Pakistan is one that has seen a lot of lows.
It's stressful, it's tense.
Raise your hand if you enjoyed that video. Yes, very nice. Now, here's the big takeaway from that. And this was said in there. What unites us is stronger than what divides us. And having that understanding that we are all a human species, when it comes down to it, is a wonderful thing. And that brings us to the U right there. Now, the next part is learning. Now, every day we ask our children, our students, to learn a lot. And that's great. That's their job. We ask them to do that every day. We still need to be learners ourselves. We still have to learn the new curriculum, the new thinking, everything that comes out. We still owe it as our responsibility to be good learners and be good stewards of education. Now, this is the plan. How many of you have this kind of plan ready to go every year? A good, smooth plan. That's at least how we forecast it, right? Reality is, how many of you feel like this is what ultimately happens? Exactly. I was in a conference, one guy looks at me and goes, I was in that boat and it sank. I'm like, wow, that's a tough year. We'll get you out of it, we'll work. I'm coming to get you. Okay, so the thing is, growing up, this is kind of what I was taught. I grew up in this generation, you win or you lose, really, but we really know that that's not the reality. When we look at it, this is what successful people know, and this is, teachers are the best at this, because all students have roadblocks. All students have roadblocks, and we use those as learning opportunities. Now, I want you to take a look, and we're going to be wrapping up here in just a minute. Now, I want you to identify with this gentleman here. You're going to see a video of a gentleman learning something for the very first time. I want you to watch his struggles as he goes through this, because he's trying something very difficult at his time in life. So let's see how this goes.
Evening.
Evening.
May I ring that up for you?
Yes, please.
Have a good evening.
It's a Scotch commercial. Oh, who knew some of life's best lessons could be learned through commercials? But I love that because we're never too old to learn. To be good stewards in this environment, we need to continue to be learners. And so environment is another thing that we can have an impact on, our own environment for our learning, for our kids. And there are just different things that we can take a look at. Student-centered learning, like this building here. Flexible seating is very popular, things that you can do in the classroom as well. Now, thing is that's the E for environment. And there's another one here, expression. Now, I encourage you at the beginning to share your information on whatever platform that might be. And your area to share might even be the staff lounge, in your neighborhood, with your friends, whatever it is, and you recognize this guy right here, Kevin Honeycutt. How many of you saw him when he was here? Yes. So he has an expression called live out loud. I don't know if he shared that with you guys or not, but that is a lesson that I learned, and I encourage people everywhere I go, because what may be routine for you may be extraordinary for another person. Let me give you an example. Every other year, I got a student teacher in my classroom. I'm a veteran teacher. I've been teaching 12 years at this time, and I had a student teacher come in, and I was using CargoBot, and I was trying to figure out, how do I make a visual representation of where my students are on CargoBot? I want to do it on a bulletin board. Not my thing. My student teacher goes, oh, I'll take care of it. This was brilliant. Some of you will be like, Brad, I was doing that in 1978. So what she did is she got little envelopes and she cut them and made tiny little pockets and taped them and put popsicle sticks up and put numbers on them. That was brilliant. I share that with you because to most people, that'd be like, well, yeah, Brad, you're a teacher. That's what we do, son. But I didn't know. My brain did not work that way. I thought it was the best thing. So that's why I encourage you. Something that you've been doing for years in your classroom that comes second nature to you. Maybe a brand new thing for a veteran teacher or an incoming teacher. So don't be afraid to share it. If one person sees it and it's a positive impact, then that's a great thing. The travesty is when you don't share it. You're doing some great things. Be sure to share what you do with kids. And that's the E there, right there. And this is our acronym. By just believing in this one simple rule, we can change the world. Now, the thing is together we can change the world, and I have this to share with you. This is the acronym, but I want you to think about this. We all have a gift to give. Every one of you, we all have a gift. I have found mine. I did not find mine until I hit 40 years old. I've had great transitions in my life, and my first gift was teaching. My second one I discovered when I turned 40, and it was sharing messages. I found something that not only was it good for people who was receiving, but it was good for me giving. And I've been doing that for the last 5 years, and that is my gift. That is my mission. This is what calls me. I have 3 kids that when I get on a plane, I'm in my office and I leave. I have had all of my kids travel to different places with me around the world so they understand when Dad leaves, this is what he's doing. This is his calling. This is his mission. We all have one. We all have a charter in life. We all have gifts to share. What is your gift and how do you share it to benefit your kids and our species? This is the last thing I'm going to share. This is a short little video from a wonderful book that I want you to take a look at. So the question is, what will you give? Watch this video as we wrap up, and I want you to identify with what you see in there. And I will leave you with this, because I truly believe that we as a group can change the world simply by changing our mind. It's the cheapest thing that we can invest in is our mind and changing our mind. And we can change the world through the relationships that we have with each other and our students, because we all have our gifts. So I encourage you to go out, believe in your mission, share your gifts with everybody. And with that, have a great conference. Have a great day. Thank you so much. Kia ora. Thank you.